Hey, everybody. Welcome to what I think is episode 71 of the Hey Everybody podcast. I am what I think is Christopher Gold. I'm having a great day today. I hope the same for you. My wife had the morning off, so we spent the morning sitting at the kitchen table, just drinking coffee and chatting about the weekend that we had, which was wonderful. I could talk about it for hours. There's like three sort of specific things I would like to talk about with you guys at some point about the weekend. I don't have a ton of time because I got to go pick up my son from school. So I just real quick wanted to hit you with this. I had an event this weekend that I do every year. It's a charity thing, and we'll leave it at that. I think as best you can, you should do your good deeds as quietly as possible. And while I was on stage at this event, which is a hilarious thing to say after saying you should do your good deeds as quietly as possible, while I was on stage under lights with a microphone doing my good deed quietly, I told the crowd we were there for a very serious cause, but I told the crowd that we were there with a joyous spirit. I told them there's so much work to be done in the world. We have to figure out how to do that work with a joyous spirit. Otherwise, we will not have the stamina necessary to even put a dent in the amount of work we have to do. There are a lot of very sad things happening in the world and to people. And when we're able, we need to step in, lend a hand, that kind of thing. But to be a good person, you'll be required to do that often for your whole life. And if it wrecks you every time, you won't be able to help as many people. And I've been a big believer in that. I found myself in front of a crowd after an election once. It wasn't at a show or anything. I wasn't even supposed to be there. And I got handed a microphone. And I just said, get active and figure out a way to do it joyfully, because it's going to be a while. I hadn't planned on saying that. I hadn't even really thought about it. But looking back on it now, I very, very much think that. I think, first of all, you have but the one life, so far as I know. You best enjoy it. But also, you want to help people and do good things. So, ipso facto, whatever that means, I can just use that in context, even though I don't know what it means, sort of like the word Orwellian. I know what Orwellian means. But if you want to enjoy your life and you want to help people, you have to figure out how to enjoy helping people. And for me, a lot of times I get to help people by playing music, and that's great. And being with my friends, and that's great. And being with my family, and that's great. And I got to do all those things on Saturday. It was a very long day. And I had a show on Friday in Madison. We had to drive through the winter storm, which for us just ended up being rain, thankfully. So Sunday, I was eager to just sit on the couch and read and watch football. And I did both. I watched 3 football games and read huge chunks of this book by Kurt Vonnegut called If This Isn't Nice, What Is? The much expanded second edition. It's a collection of commencement speeches and graduation addresses and that kind of thing that he gave over the years. And it is just funny how the world works sometimes. If I were a smart person, I would have had this marked better. Oh, look what's right there. After I said what I said on stage, I came home the next day and I was reading this book. And in this book, Vonnegut says, as I read the book of Genesis, God didn't give Adam and Eve a whole planet. He gave them a manageable piece of property. For the sake of discussion, let's say 200 acres. I suggest to you, Adam and Eves, that you set as your goals the putting of some small part of the planet into something like safe and sane and decent order. There's a lot of cleaning up to do. There's a lot of rebuilding to do, both spiritual and physical. And again, there's going to be a lot of happiness. Don't forget to notice. The reason the book is called If This Isn't Nice, What Is because it's something his uncle would say And Kurt Vonnegut goes about trying to explain to a lot of people at a lot of places in a lot of speeches that you need to take the time to point out and comment on the nice things and the good things and the happinesses and the joys and that kind of thing. So I'm sort of new to the world of Kurt Vonnegut. I've been a fan of like his quotes and that kind of thing. But a good friend of mine was sort of talking to me about his writing and that kind of thing. So I have some more books coming, and I just happened to see that one at the used place the other day, and I grabbed it, and I've been loving it. And anytime you find yourself accidentally saying something that one of the great minds of your lifetime or any lifetime has also said, it's pretty good. Let's have some coffee. Well, I apologize that this was so fast, and I apologize if it felt terribly, terribly short. But like I said, I got to go get my kid soon. But I just wanted to check in with you guys and sort of share that thought, I guess now a third time, and try to get it to as many people as possible, that you will not make it very long if you cannot figure out a way to do good work with a joyful heart and do necessary work with a joyful heart. And that's not to say it's not going to be sad. You know, I had some very sad conversations at this very event with some people, but I was also inspired and uplifted, and I got to play very loud rock and roll music, and I got to hear some songs I really like from some people I love. And it was good. And if you were there, I thank you. And if you weren't there, but you sent me a nice message the day of, about 5-ish, thank you for that too. I really appreciate it. The event was a success. I felt really good about it. And like I said, we'll talk about it later. Oliver had a violin recital. It was his first in-person one in 2 years. He's been playing the violin. I call it a fiddle. He's been playing the violin for 3 or 4 years now. And sometimes the recitals can be tough because I love him and I love hearing him play the violin, but I don't always love sitting on a hardwood chair for an hour and listen to everyone else's kid do what they do. You know, Ollie plays 3 songs, but there's going to be 15 songs played at this concert. So I'm sitting there and I realized that the way to experience this is to try to make it part of a much bigger experience. Watching your kid play the violin is a magical, wonderful thing. It gets infinitely more magical and more wonderful if while you're watching him play the violin next to your wife, you're thinking about his whole life and how he came to be and who he's becoming and how he became that person. And the fact that where once there was nothing, and then there was a baby, and then there was a kid who had to be taught everything, and then there was a toddler, and, you know, all this kind of stuff. And now there's a person playing the violin, you know, that's magical. And the more I keyed into that, the more I felt that way about all those kids. And it really was the first time that I really felt like, I don't know, the whole process sort of hit me in the form of him playing the violin. And it was a really beautiful thing. And it occurred to me that, like, we're all that kid playing the violin. We all used to be nothing, and then we were almost nothing, and then we were sort of kind of something, and then we learned to talk and walk and feed ourselves and think and read and write and all this kind of stuff. And everything, forgive me for sounding like blitzed out or whatever, everything's so remarkable when you think about it that way. That where once there was nothing, now there's this podcast or a song or a whatever. Here, let me get my Kurt Vonnegut book again, because he has this other quote that might take me a second to find. But you know what? You're going to be all right. Let me see. All right, here we go. Kurt Vonnegut had a teacher who said, "What is it artists do? They do 2 things. First, they admit they can't straighten out the whole universe. And then second, they make at least one little part of it exactly as it should be. A blob of clay, a square of canvas, a piece of paper, or whatever." maybe a podcast, maybe a meal, maybe a conversation with someone you love. I think it's wonderful. I think when you free yourself from the idea that you have to change the whole world, you can set about changing the whole world. Just not forever, not for everyone. But I know for a fact I've had experiences with people where for them and for an hour, the world changed. I've had those experiences. I've been at shows where for me, in this place, for an hour, my whole life changed. And I feel good about that. So let's do some recommendations and let's get you out of here. First up, I'm just doing the stuff I listened to this morning, which is why I'm recommending Owen, even though I already have. But this record is called The Avalanche by Owen. Tori and I listened to it this morning, and it's great. He has a very soothing voice. He's a wonderful guitar player, lots of acoustic guitar, a little bit of pedal steel, that kind of thing. Very nice. Listen to it. I think you'll like it. And then, we have not talked about this before. This record is called Only Way to Be Alone by Good Old War. And see how floppy it is? That's because there's not a record in here. It's because the record is on my turntable, because I just listened to it twice this morning. Three guys singing harmonies, again, mostly acoustic, but drums and that kind of thing. Just not a lot of electricity on this record. But they all three sing a lot of the time. So a lot of sort of obvious kind of Simon and Garfunkel comparisons and Crosby, Stills and Nash and that kind of thing. But I tell you what, if you listen to a song like Coney Island or Looking for Shelter or Tell Me and you don't like it, you just take your butt somewhere else, because this ain't the place for you on this podcast, because we here at this podcast adore this record and this band. On their second record, they have a song called That's Some Dream. In the chorus, he says, I'm going to live, it's all right. I'm going to die, it's all right. I'm okay. Yes. That's the podcast right there. Got in and out of this thing in about 12 minutes. He checks the time. We got a little time still. We can hang out. This whole thing is making very clear to me that I have a tendency to ramble and possibly make these things longer than is necessary. I guess I could tell you another thing I want to tell you. Part of what I thought about when I was thinking about Oliver playing the violin and really letting myself and doing some work to really feel all of it is there's a record called Keep Your Heart by a Philadelphia punk band called The Loved Ones, who I really, 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 really like. And on that record, there's a lyric where he says, I'm building calluses where I'm supposed to feel. And as a musician, I got calluses. I got all four of these fingers from playing guitar. I got these three fingers from playing guitar and bass. I got in here and in here from playing the drums. And I thought about how I got those. I think a lot of times we hear like calloused as like the result of a bad thing, but they're really just the result of prolonged exposure. And exerted effort in the same way over time. And that's what raising a kid is. And that's what being in a marriage is. And that's what being a musician on stage is. And I think life is better for me when I take the time to realize, like, I've been doing this a lot and for a long time, and I might not be feeling it enough. And then figuring out how to think about a thing or how to do a thing that helps get through the calluses that form just from doing a thing over and over and over again. And that was on my mind a lot at the violin recital. And just always, I even think you don't have to be doing something wrong to not be doing it as deeply or as fully or as connectedly as you could. I catch myself be on my phone and Ollie will say something and I go, yeah. And he just, that's it. And I stop and go like, I didn't really hear what he said. And he's a miracle. He's my son. He exists and that's amazing. So I stop and I go, hey, what did you say? And he'll tell me and then we'll talk and it'll be great. But it's the same with my wife or the same with music or the same with anything. just being in nature, like you get used to things. And I want to do my best to not get used to the great things all around me. And I hope you don't either. That ought to do it now. I got to finish this coffee and I got to go get my son. I love you guys. I hope you're doing well. And I don't have any plans to take time off from this around the holidays or anything. So expect them to roll out as they do. I assume you'll be busy. But if you want to come see me live, this episode comes out on Wednesday. The next day, on Thursday, I'm playing in Oshkosh at a new place called Gibson Social Club or something. Just Gibson, Oshkosh. It's on Main Street. Playing a solo show. Might have a special guest with me. If you want to come hang out, have a beer or an ice water, and hear some songs, that's where I'll be Thursday from 7 to 9. Huzzah. I hope you're well, and thank you for being here and listening to me as I, try to figure out what the heck my brain is doing. I hope it helps you figure out what yours is doing. And listen to Good Old War, Coney Island by Good Old War. Put it on right now. Looking for Shelter, right up next. Tell Me, right after that. And then That's Some Dream, right after that. And then they have a lyric where he says, our lives are just a river, we're all going to meet in the ocean. That's it. It's not getting better than that. All right. I'll talk to you later. Be good. Take care of yourself. Take care of somebody else. Thanks for being here. See you soon.